Good morning, good morning. I'm a hair behind schedule this morning, but that's okay. Today's a busy day. Ooh. My wireless extender is not working. Oh, there it goes. Okay, good. It's just about to be nervous that Instagram was not going to function today, but it looks like it will. So let me get on Instagram real quick. To all those listening to this on iTunes or all the other podcast apps, welcome. Give me just 1 second. It says we're checking connection for Instagram. With any luck, it will function properly. With no luck, well, it won't function properly. If you are here watching this or listening to this, be sure to subscribe. Wherever you are watching, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, Periscope, all those places. All right, looks like Periscope is live. That is good. For some reason, Instagram is not working. Let's try again. It says checking connection. I'll show you all what I'm dealing with here. Here we have Instagram. Checking connection. Which tells me the internet's not working very well. So that's clearly bad. Let's says we're connected. What other options do I have at my disposal? We can get on the weaker internet. It's probably not going to work so well either, but we can try it. I guess we just have to roll with that today. Still says checking connection. Smart but casual shirt. All right, we are finally live on Instagram. Hello. Sorry about being a little bit late. The internet's not working very well. So, if the stream is choppy, I'm sorry. I can't do a whole lot about that. I guess we'll see how it goes. The stream looks good on YouTube. Yeah, I'm in a tough spot where, for some reason, the Instagram phone does not want to connect well to my regular internet. I don't know why. My computer has no problem. So we're noting that I have a nice, smart, casual shirt on today. Today is a business meeting day. Interestingly enough, that is what our topic is about. Today's topic. Am I supposed to have a topic each day? You all let me know. If you have topics you'd like me to discuss, feel free to message them to me because I'm quickly running out of ideas. Today, we're going to talk about seeking outside help. Now, wow, and they noticed a new haircut. You all are very good at, very observant. I did get a haircut yesterday. And I'm wearing a dress shirt. Wow, what an adult. Today, I'm going to a meeting called the Alternate Board. Now, essentially what they do is they get together business owners who are operating in non-competing areas. Most people don't compete in the poker training industry. And we share our issues and our problems, our successes and our failures with each other. And we are going to see how that goes. This is my first meeting. They've given us a few personality tests, which are interesting. You learn a lot about your partners. I have three partners, I think 5 employees total. So, you know, it's not just me doing all the work. And we have to present a problem to them to discuss and try to solve it. So, that's what we're going to do today. But understand that I realize that I do not know everything, especially about things that I only have limited success in, like business, right? We're not making millions and millions of dollars a year yet, but maybe one day. So, don't be afraid to seek outside help. I have mentors who just help me because they like helping the next generation, right? I don't think a lot of young people understand this, and I certainly didn't whenever I was younger. But when you get a little bit of experience and you have a good solid foundation, the next thing you want to do is help the younger generation. You want to help people who are trying to succeed like you have succeeded. And I have been fortunate to have coached a lot of people in poker who are also really, really good at life. And they have given me lots and lots of advice. And without their advice, I probably would not be doing as well as I am today. And I recognize the value of their advice, right? We don't just go to lunch and talk about poker. Often we talk about life and business and whatnot and things that I can do to improve. And often they at least ask my opinion. I don't know if they respect it or not, but they at least ask my opinion about things that are going on in their life. So it's a good way to collaborate and also just get an outside set of eyes on your problems. So how does this apply to poker? Well, very clearly, it applies to poker in that you need to be discussing poker with people. No one learns in a vacuum. Tony says, can I ask a question? You can, but I may not get to it for a while. Whenever I first started playing poker, I hired a coach. I played by myself for about a year, growing my $50 bankroll up to probably $10,000 or $15,000. I don't remember exactly where I was at the moment, at that exact point in time. But I hired a coach, a guy named Bill Seymour. I went to a site, pokercoaching.com. Does that sound familiar? And he was the coach at pokercoaching.com. He's an old guy. He was a tournament grinder back in the 90s. You can look him up. And then he just started teaching people to play poker. He's had his hands on a lot of players, like Phil Ivey, Daniel Negreanu, and me, and who knows how many others. And I learned a lot from him. I learned a lot about mindset, and I also just learned about exploitative strategies and not being an idiot. Now, I'm sure he's been an idiot at whenever he was a young and dumb, but you learn these things, right? And he's had tons and tons of experience. So he was my first poker coach, and I learned a lot from him. I think I just learned how to not be an idiot, or at least be less of an idiot. Still am an idiot to some extent, but at least less of an idiot. So anyway, his name's Bill Seymour, if you all want to hint and mob him. Next, I was playing sit and goes, right? I started playing sit and goes, and I got to the highest stakes games online, the $200 games, but I saw my return on investment slowly declining. So what do? I hire a sit and go coach, even though I'm thought to be one of the best in the world at this format. Who did I hire? Surprisingly enough, I hired someone who was playing the stake below mine. You say, why would you hire someone who's playing the game below yours? Well, his name is Greg Shahade. Some of you may know his sister, Jennifer, who is a Poker Stars pro. Both of them are, I think they're both chess masters, maybe international masters for Greg, I don't know. Both very good chess players. And Greg was playing the $100 sit and goes. I was playing $200 games, he was playing $100 games. And he had a very, very high return on investment. Much higher than mine. And it should be double mine in theory if he's playing smaller stakes. And it was about double mine. But he had almost no variance, whereas I had tons of variance, right? As you have a smaller return on investment, your variance goes through the roof. He was just happy to sit there and grind out his free money each month. All the best players in the world were playing the 200s, so why not play the 100s against the slightly lesser players? And he was printing money. I learned a lot from him. I paid him $5,000 for 10 hours of coaching. It's kind of expensive, $500 an hour, right? This was back a long time ago, too. It'd be like $1,000 today. And I learned a few things that I was doing wrong. My return on investment instantly went up 2 or 3%, and I won back that $5,000 within the first month, and then just continued printing. Speaking of game selection, I posted an Instagram post and a Twitter post about game selection yesterday, and yeah, he was game selecting hard, so he basically had the same the same win rate, same hourly rate as all of the best players, and to be fair, he probably was one of the best players, and he had no variance. It's just like the best of both worlds, right? He was smarter than all of us. What if you want mentors and want to learn from the older generation but don't know how? How do you do this? Well, you talk to people. You be friendly, right? You interact with people. You go to charity events. Go to figure out where you're trying to what you're trying to learn and go from there. And my mentors are all over the place in terms of what they do. Some of them are hedge fund managers. Some of them are venture capitalists. Some of them are lawyers. Those are the main ones I'm thinking about off the top of my head. And, I met them just by being myself in public, being nice, friendly, trying to provide more value than I get back, because they all like talking about poker, right? I essentially give them free poker lessons. I don't really actively teach any of them, but I do, I'm happy to talk about poker. And they like being around me. people need to like being around you. If you can make people like being around you just because you're nice and friendly, then they're going to be happy to share their experiences with you. They want to help you, right? Remember, they see them and you, except for you're younger and dumber. Just like they were younger and dumber. All right. Master says, thanks for the stream. Good, I'm glad you enjoy it. I first started playing Limit Hold'em, but I switched to No Limit Hold'em once I got to Limit Hold'em. Daniel says, funny how the little poker advice can be very helpful. You say, I had one about not accepting deals and chopping, and it changed your mentality. Good. I mean, that's what you want to be doing. You want to be fixing your mentality. What is a good resource for small stake sit and go players? Oh, definitely check out ICMizer. That is by far the best. You can get it at jlpoker.com/ICM. When you bet for value with top 2 pair on the river and fill up, oh, I guess you're saying the flush draw comes in. Fill up refers to making a full house. It does not refer to making a flush. Anyway, let's say the river flush draw comes in. How do you approach the situation? Check against most players if they're going to bluff or value bet with the intention of folding if you get raised. How do you apply Flopzilla to a very large cash game room daily? I don't know exactly what that means. You study away from the table. Definitely study away from the table. Can I elaborate on how my first coach told me not to be an idiot? Ooh, do I have the book back here? I don't think I do. I think it's in the other bookshelf. There's a book called Zen and the Art of Poker and The Tao of Poker. The Tao of Poker, depends on how you want to say it, if you want to Americanize it or not. And he suggested I read those 2 books. There's a lot of bad poker information in those books in terms of strategy, but a lot of very good mindset advice. And again, now that we have things like The Mental Game of Poker and Positive Poker and Peak Poker Performance, my books back there, I have essentially updated those books and made them much more applicable and relevant to No Limit Hold'em players. But those books were very, very beneficial for me. Also, he taught me how a lot of the people who are splashy garner a lot of attention. And that splashy and attention does not necessarily translate to profits. A lot of people think the people who are running well at any individual point in time are definitely doing something right. And that may or may not be true. He also taught me about bankroll management, right? He taught me about how to just sit there and grind the sit and goes and be happy with that. And not trying to have a gigantic score, right? A lot of people want to have a gigantic score and win all the money immediately. He taught me to sit there and grind. If you sit there and grind, you're never going to go broke. And you're going to have almost no variance. So that's exactly what I did for 3 years. I grinded up $350,000 from a $50 start with no variance. I mean, a little bit of variance, but not really a lot. Which option is smarter? Playing 2-3 with 40 buy-ins or playing 2-5-10 with 20 buy-ins? And selling action in both. Stop selling action. Play smaller and play on your own money. People say they hear James. Yes, James is here. James is here indeed. People need to learn how to ask questions. That is accurate. I understand that English is not the first language for many of the people here, so I definitely have to give leeway to them. And, whenever people ask your opinion on something, you have to understand, they spent their time typing that in. They think it's going to be beneficial, not just to themselves, hopefully. So, I'm always happy to try to answer questions. And if I don't understand something, I'm going to ask for clarification. Please don't be offended. And clarify it if you want to answer. If you want to answer, I'm happy to answer any questions that you all have. So anyway, what happened next? After sit and goes, I moved to No Limit Hold'em cash games. I hired a guy, Aaron O'Rourke. You all may know him as Dolly Man. I learned a lot about sports betting through Dolly Man, interestingly enough. We did quite well together, betting on the Wong teasers back in the day when they paid even money, or even plus 110. That was just so free. That was so free. We got stiffed by a bookie together. I think the bookie ran off with $100K of mine, and we still made a pile of money. Anyway, that was fun. The good old days. Next, I was going to go play the NBC Heads Up tournament. I had not played a whole lot of Heads Up. This was I think, $20,000 buy-in invitational tournament. So I hired one of the best sit-and-go coaches. Again, not the highest stakes player. He only played the $100 games, whereas other people were playing the thousands. But I really liked his thought process. You could talk with these people ahead of time on forums and whatnot, and you learn who has very good thought processes. And I learned from him, and I ended up, I think I forget what place I took, 4th or 8th, something like that. So that was good. Then I eventually moved to Pot Limit Omaha, No Limit Hold'em tournaments, and I hired coaches all along the way. Because I realized that whenever you hire a coach, even if you're paying a lot of money, say you're paying $1,000 an hour, okay? What are you actually paying for? Are you paying for 1 hour of the person's time? No. You're paying for their experience over the last X number of years, consolidated and given to you. So imagine you could take the best No Limit Hold'em player in the world, pay him $1,000 an hour for 10 hours. You pay him $10,000, and he tells you everything he knows. He transplants his brain into yours. Obviously, it's not that clean and not that clear, and you have to be at quite a high level of competency to understand what they're going to say in the first place. But if you are pretty close to their level, often they will push you up to their level, or at least much closer to their level. And that will very often be very beneficial, way more valuable than $10,000 if you are playing a lot of volume at high stakes. So, in my opinion, coaching is essentially free, and very often you make back the amount you spent immediately. Now, I've had no bad experience with coaching. I know some people do have bad experiences with coaching and mentors and whatnot. And understand you don't have to take everyone's advice. But at the same time, you need to be smart about hiring the coach. A lot of people just hire anybody off the street, which is dumb. A lot of people hire the best players in the world who cannot articulate their thought processes, which is dumb, right? You have to find someone who can articulate their thought processes and explain it in a way that you understand. And a lot of people at this point in time have articles out there or videos out there, so you can watch their content and see if you think that they, or if you relate to their, the way they deliver the information. What do I think about when selecting my game to play? You want to find soft games if you care about making money. So you want to have people who are playing too many hands. You want to have people who are playing too aggressively, usually. You want to have people who are just bad. You can look for the way they speak at the table. You can look for the way they act at the table. You can look for the way they hold themselves at the table. And all that will be very, very beneficial. All right. How does an on-player transition to live? You fear that you're going to get confused with the chips and the stacks. Practice at home. Also, work on your tells. You almost certainly have a lot of tells if you play live. If you play online, you're probably going to have a lot of facial tells because people like to celebrate when they're playing at home and they get angry when they're playing at home. So you have to get rid of that completely, and that does take some time sometimes. Dr. Mize says, you got my 3 and 4-bet seminar yesterday. Great. Any suggestion for what module you should pick next? Depends on what you're trying to learn. Send me an email with what your goals are. support@pokercoaching.com, and I will go through the modules and tell you which one I think is best. What do I think of PLO? I think it's a fine game. It just has tons and tons of variants, and I would not recommend it to anyone who cares about growing a bankroll. Joe says, or other simple poker concepts. Joe, that is not a full question. It's usually efficient to hire a coach that is 1 to 2 levels above you. That is exactly right. All right, let's see. Playing professionally, you find it hard to build your role because you have to pay life expenses. You try to lower your expenses. Anything else you can do? Sabio gives you the right answer. Get a job, which is not the answer most people want to hear. But very often that is the case. You say you're beating 1-3 for $11 an hour. I'm sorry, 11 big blinds an hour, so 33 bucks an hour. Well, you just have to get your expenses lower or play more. Maybe you're not playing 12 hours a day like you should be. Maybe you're playing 4 hours a day, right? If you just start playing 12 hours a day instead of 4, you will triple the amount of money you make each month. This is going to sound bad, but a lot of people just don't want to work. They don't want to put in the grind. They don't want to put in the time. Someone says, PLO live, exclamation point. I think that's an awful game. Awful, awful game. Try to figure out why. Take your time and figure out. Who's second to me in the poker coaching world? I don't know. 11 big blinds per hour means $33 an hour in profit. Ob says, you're a truck driver. The man pays you to listen to my audiobooks. You know, I used to work at an airport fueling up airplanes, and I purposefully worked the graveyard shift so that I would have a lot of free time. And I sat there and I read every poker book on the market. And eventually I started playing poker while the man was paying me my $10 an hour. It's not such a bad way to learn if you're allowed to do such things. All right, let's see. So, Nick, if you're making $33 an hour, just play more hours. You're telling me you can't live off $300 a day? That's $100,000 a year. If you can't make it on $100,000 a year, you're probably spending way too much money. Figure out where your money's going. Maybe you're gambling some of it away. Maybe you're buying fancy shoes. I don't know what you're doing. But figure out where your money's going. $100,000 a year is almost always plenty of money for most people. Maybe you're living in like Manhattan in a penthouse or something. Maybe then 100K is not enough. How many hours do you need to have a good idea of your profit? Read jonathanlittlepoker.com/bankroll, please. Nick says 66K a year. Is that your expenses? That's quite high. Maybe there's expenses you can't get down. I don't know. Maybe you've made bad decisions in the past. So how am I getting 100K a year? $300 a day times 3 is $900. Let's call it $1,000. Remember, you said you're making 33 an hour. So that's 10 hours a day times 300 days a year. I think that's 100K, right? Someone get out a calculator. Do some math for me. 300 times 300 is 90,000. Plus there's an extra 65 days in the year. Harrison said, Jonathan's getting up and working 12 hours a day. Yeah, that's right. Well, I go to the World Series Sydney. I will not, but have fun. Sydney's a great city. It's actually it's like nice Manhattan, honestly. If you've never been to Australia, Sydney's a sweet city. All right. Let's see. Ardark says that it seems like in PLO, so many people make mistakes, but the variance is so high. Yeah, you can have a high win rate, but the variance is going to be through the roof. What kind of bankroll do I recommend? I actually don't know. I think people recommend 4 times the bankroll you need for no limit hold'em for PLO, give or take. So Nick says, oh, see, Nick, you're not playing nearly enough hours. You say you're only playing 37.5 hours a week, and you're taking 2 weeks off. I mean, you have no excuse for that. Whenever I was playing poker, whenever I was playing seriously at Bellagio, I'd play 5-10 every day. I'd show up at noon. I'd leave at about midnight every single day. 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, no off days. That is how you make money. Taking time off allows you to spend money. A lot of people don't realize this. When you're not working, often you're spending your money. If you just sit at the poker table and grind it, you don't spend your money. You keep all of your money. Your game doesn't run either. Or your game doesn't run 8 hours a day. Oh, find a new game then, Nick. Come on, that's an easy one. Find a new game. Cultivate a game if you have to. A lot of people don't realize that you need to cultivate a game if your game does not run nearly often enough. You got to put in the work, man. A good example of this is Kenny Tran. A lot of people may not know of Kenny Tran, but this is all secondhand knowledge, so it could be just completely wrong. It's a good story, though. Basically, he's an okay poker player, doing okay at like 5, 10, and 10, 20, not crushing it or anything. And what he did is he made cash games in LA. Started playing 200, 400, and higher against celebrities. Now, why do celebrities want to play with him? Well, he would buy them front row seats for boxing matches. He would take them out golfing. He would take them to clubs. And he would spend $20,000 or $40,000 a month on marketing. But realize $40,000 is just one buy-in. And if you're playing against people who don't know how to play poker for 200, 400 blinds, well, you're going to print all the money. He cultivated a game because he realized perhaps his skills were not good enough to play high stakes, and maybe he wasn't even finding that good of games at high stakes, so he made his own game. Who's the best player in the world for me? That's a weird question. You find weekend playing is better. Of course weekend playing is going to be better because there's going to be more recreational players. Highcard says, work-life balance, though. Yeah, I mean, listen. The question was, how do I make a bankroll only making $65K a year? The answer is get expenses down or make more money. Right? That's it. Those are your only options. Or learn to win more money. One of the two. How can I convince your wife to let you spend so much time studying poker? Prove that the studying of poker will make you and your family more money long term. Prove it to them. Let's see, we're watching something. Sometimes you have to pay off the loose aggressive players and get bad beat if you play correctly. Yeah, that's true. So, I mean, sometimes you're going to lose. That's part of the game. You're not supposed to win all the time. Given you were playing all day, did people not twig you or take... I don't know what you're saying. Let's see. Do I suggest my video courses to get some tournament strategy? Yes. Also, sign up for pokercoaching.com. That's just a great way to get a lot of experience without actually having to play. At what level do you need to invest in solvers? It depends on your goals, right? I would recommend almost no one spend their $1,000 on a solver. Instead, sign up to a training site and learn how to play from people who have already done all of the work and who have consolidated it for you. Is it generally okay to get it in pre-flop with ace, king, and cash games? It depends on the opponents. If they're only getting in with aces and kings, then no. Let's see. Sala says you're looking for backing. You have 11 big blinds per hour, over 200,000 tournament hands. Where can you find the best backer? I'm part of the POCAR backing stable. POCARR. They don't accept very many people because you actually have to have good results. I would ask you though, why do you want a backer? Just sit there and grind it up. Be patient. Realize if you're winning at 11 big blinds per 100 hands, you're probably just printing money. Now, tournament big blind per hour may not actually matter because you can be winning 11 big blinds per hour in the early levels or 20 big blinds in the early levels, but then be like -5 big blinds in the late levels and just get crushed. So that could be what's happening to you if you're not building a bankroll. Just play a lot. Stop being lazy and play a lot. You should not be thinking that your route to poker success is getting a backer. The route to poker success is studying a lot and playing a lot. That is how you get good. Let's see. Poker has no benefits, no insurance, etc., etc., etc. That is true. That's why you have to make more money playing poker than you do at a regular job. Complete this sentence. Poker is all about blank. Persistence? Persistence is probably a good one. Discipline? One of those two. Matthew says you could be getting cocky after your wins. Yeah, maybe you're not playing within your bankroll. Let's see. You know what Flopzilla does, but do you use it against new players? Sure. You're saying, so Marco, you may not be using Flopzilla correctly. I'm not exactly sure what you're saying about this. You're saying you may not see these players again. You want to be studying ahead of time so that you know the right play. You don't like plug in, I mean, you can plug in the hands after the fact, but that's so you know how to play against similar situations in the future. Not so that you know how to play that exact spot against that player later, because you're probably never going to see that player again. Who's the best poker player? The answer to that is it just doesn't really matter who the best poker player is. Uncle Eddie, the mayor of Brooklyn, in the house. Hello, Uncle Eddie. What is my thought on the Let It Be Range book? I never read it. Let's see. If you can make $1, you can make $1 million. It's probably true. You just have to put in a lot of grinding. Sala says you like to have coaching for free. Yeah, that's actually a good reason to get backing, which is why I suggested the POCAR backing company. There are a few poker stables out there who will back you and then give you coaching. POCAR is one of them. That is how they make their players so good. So, yeah, check it out. Uranus says that poker has a great benefit in UK. You don't pay any taxes. It's absolutely true. If you're going to be a poker player and you live in the European Union, go to London. I don't know if you can still go to London. I'm sure someone can look into that to see if you can go to London or not, or England or not. But yeah, check that out. All right, who's the best player, though? Look at whoever is playing the high-stakes games on a regular basis and winning. From what I understand, people think Stephen Chidwick is perhaps the best. So what makes him the best? I say people. The POCAR backing company thinks, at least a few people in there, think that Stephen Chidwick is one of the best. So what is he doing? Well, he goes for it. He looks at the solvers, he knows what to do in every spot, and then he picks the highest variance route in all of them because people fold too often. If you ever played with Stephen Chidwick, you better buckle up and call down because he bluffs a lot. I remember in the most recent WPT I took 6th place in, he ran some insane bluff against me where like I raised under the gun. I think I had ace queen, maybe? And it came like queen jack 8 or something like that. I raised under the gun. I continuation bet, he raised, I called, turn was a brick. He jammed, I called, obviously. and he had like 10-4 for a gut shot. And this was just, you know, him blasting it on when we were down to 7 or 8 people. Not afraid. Can you live good with poker money? You can live good with no money. All depends on what you want. Being rich means having very few wants. All right, we have a hand here. 500,000, you have only 15 big blinds. Under the gun limps, you raise to 3.5 big blinds. Definitely jam or fold with whatever you have here. Button calls, under the gun calls. We have ace king. It comes king, jack 10. You jam, get called by jack 9. Well, so you got it in good. Why did he call? He had a pair and you were short stacked. Easy call. But yeah, just jam pre-flop. Is Linus Love the best online player? I don't know. I'm definitely not involved in the very high stakes online community. Linus Love is thought to be good. I know. I mean, I don't know. There's an easy way to figure out who the best is, the consensus best is go to poker. What's it called? Poker Shares. You can't go if you're in America, but go to Poker Shares and look up the markups for the players. Whoever has the highest markup is the best. That's it. They've done the math. They know who the best is. You don't have to ask me. That's just wasting your time. I don't know the answer. Speaking of which, I had a topic I'm going to discuss later. But it is, be okay saying, I don't know, or I don't have an opinion. It's okay to not know the answer, especially if it's irrelevant to you. Like, I don't care who has 1.3 markup compared to 1.29 markup. It does not matter to me. So I don't spend my time figuring this out. It doesn't do anything for me. I'm not trying to make some poker ranking in my head. This is why poker ranking systems are a little bit silly, because they're based on volume. There are so many online players who would smoke the good live players. But they just don't want to be traveling the world all the time, and they don't want to have gigantic variance. So they just sit there and grind only the $2,000 tournaments online and print all the money. How do you manage playing poker and having a baby? I compartmentalize my life. Sometimes I play a lot of poker. Sometimes I play no poker. Are you wasting your time reading the classic poker books? Any book before 2000, you're definitely wasting your time. I'll just say that. Any book before 2000, you're definitely wasting your time. Assuming you value your time. Now, a lot of people just like reading classic literature, right? Are you wasting your time reading a storybook? I don't know if you enjoy it. It's not applicable, or it's kind of not nearly as applicable to the real world, but, you know, if you enjoy reading it, you enjoy reading it. Like, Theory of Poker is a good example of this. It's like barely applicable to today's games. Yet it still sells on Amazon because people think it's neat, right? They think it's neat to study Raz and 5-card draw and learning about pot odds using 5-card draw examples. Now, I think if you're playing No Limit Texas Hold'em or any other game where you can bet more than one minimum bet, you probably want to study games where you can bet more than one minimum bet. But that's just my opinion. If you're studying No Limit Hold'em, study No Limit Hold'em books that are at least kind of current, right? Will I have time to answer questions in the poker coaching forum? I don't know. It's really hard to get on there and answer a bunch of questions. You have to understand, I have to figure out where to put my time. I spend a lot of time on the homework webinars already and a lot of time on the quizzes, and it's tough. But we have a lot of people there who are happy to give you all answers. Sal says you turned 60 into 5,000. Well, good job. I would tell you to move up then. Are tournaments the best way to start your career or cash? Definitely cash games because you have less variance. We discussed this at jonathanlittlepoker.com/bankroll. What stats do you have on your poker tracker Hold'em manager heads-up display? Depends on how hard I'm going. If it's just easy, pre-flop raise, VPIP, steal, 3-bet, fold to 3-bet, 4-bet, fold to 4-bet, aggression, frequency, one of those. Then flop, turn, and river, continuation bet, fold to continuation bet, and check raise. It's only like 12 stats or 16 stats or something like that. Seems like a lot of pros overbet bluff versus overbet value. You say like Fader Holtz and the 1-drop. Listen, you saw a sample of 1 there, probably, or a sample of 3. Do not think that players are drastically unbalanced, or maybe, you know, like I just said, Chickwit takes the most aggressive line and tends to be over-bluffing because people fold too often. Well, maybe it's just a good strategy. Pros are easy to bluff. I would definitely disagree with that statement. Pros will fold marginal made hands, but they'll still call the correct frequency of the time if they're good. Or, if they think you're just a weak, tight-knit, like let's say, gang, people think you are just a nitty-nitty player, you're never bluffing, you don't even know how. Well, yeah, they're going to fold to you, right? So, if they think you're terrible, they're going to fold to you. But why do they think you're terrible? That's the other question. Maybe you've done things that make you think they're terrible, but if you did things that make them think you're terrible, you probably spewed some equity there. So be careful with that. Marco, read jonathanlittlepoker.com/bankroll. All right, well, as you see, I'm wearing my dress shirt. I have to go get the help of others. That is what today was about, was seeking the help of others. I'm going to go meet with a bunch of business owners to discuss how to do better at business. You all can help me do better at business by clicking subscribe, like, follow, whatever, and by sharing this. As you all have seen, we've done about 20 or 30 of these little coffees at the moment. Speaking of which, I've had like no coffee today. We've had white tea. We have white tea today. I love white tea. I just got some in the mail. From David's Tea. I always love getting new shipments of David's Tea because I always drink what I like first and then I end up with the stuff that's like, Makes you wonder why I order the stuff that I don't particularly love. I don't know, because I guess variety is the spice of life. All right. Have a good day. Enjoy yourselves. Make the most of your day. Share this with your friends. And if you have no friends, go out and make some friends. I'll see you all tomorrow.